Tonight's NDC and NPP caucuses in Parliament go toe-to-toe as Majority Leader Mahama Ayariga fires back at Afenyo-Markin's scathing attack on the John Mahama government, delivering a blistering rebuke of the NPP's record.
The IMF program, debt relief, rising commodity exports, reduced expenditure are the major reasons for the upswing in Ghana's economy. Therefore, my respected friend and colleague, Dr. Forson, must know that these facts expose the government's hypocrisy in telling us that they have prudently managed the economy. We want to tell the central bank, participating in the activities, being part of the feast, and when there are issues, you run away and you want to put the blame squarely at the feet of gold board will not wash. What is happening amount to a financial loss to the state.
We have details plus here from both sides of the house in the next 30 minutes here on Top Story, brought to you by Telecel, Connecting Energies, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil. Enjoy holy sleep and Shield Pension. Trust into the future with you. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Tonight, the two leaders of Parliament, Majority Leader Mahama Ayariga and the Minority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin, are in a full-blown scathing criticism of each other over whose government delivered better for Ghanaians. This action is triggered by the minority's recent press conference on the performance of the John Mahama government in the last 1 year. The criticism reached a peak on Monday when the minority leader himself, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, led the latest media engagement to deliver a damning verdict on the government's management of the economy, the Gold for Reserve program, and what they also described as Ghana's poor handling of foreign relation matters. Listen to Minority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin at this particular news conference, which was held at the House on Tuesday.
The IMF program, debt relief, rising commodity exports, reduced expenditure are the major reasons for the upswing in Ghana's economy, not a re-engineering of the economy. Therefore, my respected friend and colleague, Dr. Forson, must know that these facts expose the government's hypocrisy in telling us that they have prudently managed the economy. The much-touted fiscal consolidation has been attained on the back of a sharply cut expenditures for critical sectors, resulting in lower borrowing needs, and currency appreciation solely due to the weakening of the US dollar, which has led to preference for massive global investment in gold. Also, the debt restructuring, which we started under NPP while in government, in addition to the commodity export boom in gold and cocoa output, led to the big trade surplus which was recently announced. So since May 2023, Ghana has had a $3 billion from Ghana's IMF program, which in turn has unlocked light debt relief and financing. For example, in mid-2025, Ghana's Parliament approved a $2.8 billion restructuring deal with 25 official creditors, including China, France, the US, UK, and others. Under this agreement, all debt payments due through 2026 were rescheduled, effectively granting Ghana $2.8 billion in debt service relief it could play with in the budget. So once again, Ghana's economic fortune so far is tied to the IMF program and the windfall, not necessarily due to any re-engineering of the economy. We don't know whether the gold board makes a distinction between regularly mined gold or an illicit gold. All we know is that they are talking about their success story, the amount of gold or the tons of gold they have purchased. Yet they fail to tell us whether or not there are measures to fight against illicit gold that are mined through galamsey activities. But we want to tell the central bank, participating in the activities, being part of the feast, and when there are issues, you run away and you want to put the blame squarely at the feet of gold board will not wash. What is happening amount to a financial loss to the state. We are also aware that central bank is saying that it wants to give some moratorium of 1 month to allow for further deliberations amongst the various parties, the Ministry of Finance, Gold Board, and government, on a sustainable cost-sharing structure for the program. So indeed, if the minority was merely blowing hot air, why have they now decided through joint board meeting to take steps to ensure a sustainable cost structure?
He also said the Foreign Affairs Minister must be sanctioned for poorly managing Ghana's image at the international front, making the country lose opportunities in key regional and global blocs.
This same culture of negligence has bled into our foreign policy, where careless, performative diplomacy has now helped land Ghana on a shameful list of countries whose citizens can no longer obtain immigrant visas to the United States. The U.S. government has announced an indefinite pause on immigrant visa processing for 75 countries, including Ghana, cutting off a critical legal pathway for family reunion and skilled migration at precisely the moment our economy depends heavily on remittances from hard-working Ghanaians abroad.
All right, the majority have also responded in the statement by the minority, and through the leader, Mahama Ayariga, they released a response to the minority on this, and my colleague James Aveji joins me in studio with more. James, I mean, the statement does not respond to the minority's pressure, but also went ahead to make some critics of the previous government. What exactly did Honorable Mahama Ayariga say went wrong under the previous government?
Brace, the majority leader first called out the previous NPP government for what he describes as a complete collapse of Ghana's economy under their watch, with severe cedi depreciation, high inflation, corruption, and mismanagement of the financial system. He went on to cite massive debts and corruption in the energy sector, as well as what he said is dysfunctional public transportation system inherited from the NPP, with assurance that corrective measures are underway, and that is in reference to the public transport crisis we currently experiencing for over a month now. He then descended on what he describes as a failure of the National Health Insurance Scheme, free SHS, especially feeding challenges, hospitals turning away patients, and financially crippling district assemblies. The majority leader concluded this criticism of the previous government by stating that when Parliament resumes, his side of the House will demand a detailed audit into tax exemptions, especially issued under the One District, One Factory initiative, describing it as a failed and corruption-ridden policy that did not deliver jobs for Ghanaians as it has promised in the NPP's manifesto.
What is your specific response to the minority on the criticism of the economy under the current administration, the 24-hour economy, which they've spoken much more about, and also the Gold for Reserve program, which the IMF has sort of reported or drawn attention to the BOG on the losses that they're incurring? Another concern, the
$240 million. Actually, so he completely rejects the minority's position that what is happening now is due to the turnaround of the economy, is due to external factors. He then goes ahead to say that there is a rapid economic turnaround marked by improved inflation, exchange rate stability, and foreign reserves, acknowledged by even the IMF, World Bank, and credit rating agencies, which the minority actually says that it's not the case. This must be credited to the last tranche of the $3 billion we received from the IMF under the IMF program, as well as the depreciation or weakening of the US dollar itself against other foreign currencies. And so this, some of these things must be commended for the positive turn of Ghana's economy. He said that some of these things he mentioned have also been credited to the innovative policy by the Gold for Reserve program through the Gold Board to leverage Ghana's gold resources to stabilize the cedi, contrasting it with the NPP's economic management. Now, on the 24-hour economy, he says government is committed to industrialization and service sector growth through a 24-hour economy, including plans to pass a legislation to establish this particular authority, which
so there's an authority coming up on the 24-hour economy
through a bill in Parliament.
Okay.
But the criticism has been that for the 24-hour economy, which was the poster promise, the biggest campaign promise of the NDC leading to the 2024 election, if this is their biggest promise after 1 year in office, they should have found a way to pass the bill and began massive implementation 1 year into office. Now, the two other issues have to do with the minorities' position that Ghana is losing its influence on the international front due to what they describe as reckless handling of issues by the Foreign Affairs Minister, Honorable Samuel Kojo Brace. This particular issue features in the past two press conferences they did, and they say that the government is also losing the fight against galamsey. But the Majority Leader Mahama Ayariga, however, commended the minister, the Foreign Affairs Minister, for what he says is Ghana's improved foreign policy and economic diplomacy, insisting that the government is making significant progress in combating illegal mining, slowing environmental degradation, and investing in environmental restoration. According to him, are the steps government is taking to address some of these issues under galamsey.
All right, let's see how this goes. I'm grateful to you, James Aveji, with the response from the majority side there. Let's then deal more on this by bringing in the people who matter on this, the member from the majority and also the minority side here on Top Story. This is Top Story, always brought to you by Telecel, holding insecticide spray and coil, and also by Short Pension Trust into the future with you. Now, we've been joined on the line by Richard Achiampon. He's ranking member, Budget Committee, and also by Dr. Stephen Amoah, Deputy Ranking Member on Finance Committee. Let me start with you, Dr. Stephen Amoah. The majority has responded to what the minority brought up yesterday, but if you say that the economy under the Mahama, 1 year under Mahama, has been mismanaged, would you rather say that you did better than them, looking at the factors that we all know, the indicators, macroeconomic indicators?
Okay, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. My regards to Richard, my brother, and my regards to our listeners this evening. I think the bone of contention here is quite clear or simple. We are talking about the performance of our republic economically last year, that's the 12 months. There is now a bone of contention whether the impact of the economic indicators on Ghanaians can be attributed to the performance of the present government or not. And I think it's so clear. First, what will solve this problem is the state budget that my brother Dr. Atuforsin presented on the floor of the House. I'm sure you guys can go for it, and then that will even deal with all these controversies, or this much controversy that we are all being confronted with. All the primary macro indicators that actually illustrate whether the economy is doing well came as a result of this present government or as a result of other external factors that they do not have control, even as a result of the performance of the previous government. It's clear. Of course, there was global economic crisis. Inflation went to about 54.1. We had, at a point, we were growing 0.4 or 5 thereabout, when the world was even going negative 3.3. But last quarter 2024, go and check the budget statement that they themselves presented. Inflation had come down from 54.1 to about 22.9. In fact, GDP was growing 5.6%, far higher and bigger than 2016 of about 3.4. In fact, gross international reserve they are talking about, 2016, they were growing 6.2. Even our provisional figures before they came to the House to even present what they had was over 7%. So if you look at all these indicators, then you can talk about the fact that the impact of these economic indicators, because we are actually practicing or experiencing defensive market economy, that means there's always a lag period for Ghanaians to feel the impact of economic enhancement or growth or change. You can even attribute to the fact that the previous government performance in terms of the economic restoration is what we have been enjoying, but not this government. This government is yet to embark on any serious discretionary economic policy for Ghanaians to approach and say they are doing well or not. That makes it very difficult for me to talk about it.
Well, but Doc, I mean, during the last times of your tenure, people were saying that government must cut down its cost, its expenditure. They are doing it. Isn't that a credit that we must give them?
No, they are not cutting their expenditure. Not that intentionally they are cutting their expenditure. In the first place, any first year of any new government, it's very difficult for you to spend because of the parliamentary approval, one, because you do a lot of vetting. You vet projects that you're supposed to look at the construction sector. Most of your programs, flagship programs, need parliamentary approval and other structural and administrative configurations. So the government, not by reckless or any other thing, has not been spending. Let's face it. And two, I don't think we have come out of the IMF conditionalities and other restrictions. And this also put some sort of restrictions on our spending when it comes to discretionary spending. So it's not that the government is embarking on any strategy not to spend. But I wanted to explain something to you. When you talk about the exchange rate that has really helped us, and my brothers are producing destructive interference of waste, and some people are also being confused and deceived in this country. Even between December and January, we had received about $1 billion into our account as a result of the fact that we domesticated the cost indication. Hitherto, we're not doing that. In fact, I stand to be corrected the first time in the history of this country. I can be corrected. And then we have also had a very successful national election. So confidence of the international investors had been restored. America had engaged in tariffs or trade war with its giant partners from the Asia. So you remember all these factors actually begin to have impact on the dollar. And also the availability of enough dollars in Ghana mean that the supply side had enough to bring down its value. So this government has virtually not done anything remarkable for us to praise them. But honestly speaking, we need to also give them some time. Because almost all their major flagship programs, they have not done anything. Can they quantify the amount of their contribution to the performance of our GDP today? No.
Okay.
Is it 1%? Is it 2%?
Okay.
Well, all the primary macro indicators not doing well before they took over, they were. They should quote my brother coming to speak. He should quote all those indicators last quarter 2024 and the one they themselves presented on the floor. So I think when it comes to the economy, yes, we had tough time as a country on the globe and on the continent just because there was global crisis. We all agree. At a point, Ghanaians were to stay home, but they were paid. Private sector had to sack over 40,000 people. We had shortfall of about, in terms of revenue, about 12 billion.
Okay.
You remember?
All right.
We had to rely on debt financing.
All right.
The market was not working. There was productivity impairment. So we're not growing, but we're spending using debt financing. So our debt to GDP even went up uncontrollably. But we're able to put measures in place to restore this economy. We're not lucky enough to have had the impact on the voted out of power. We are enjoying the fruit of our labor.
Okay, grateful to you. Do stay with me. Let me bring in Richard Achampon, who is ranking member on the budget committee. Richard, I mean, doesn't the minority have a point there that you've not really brought out any major policy, but whatever is happening is you building on what they had been building, before they left power?
Brother, let me say a very good evening to you and your cherished listeners. And let me say Happy New Year to all of us. The press conference organized by the minority is much ado about nothing. One, they are talking about accountability, that they will hold this government to account. He who comes to equity must come with 3 hands. I thought they would first organize a press conference, asking Uforata to come back home and account to the good people of this country for his 2 worship. Why are they not talking about that? You have a former finance minister, of which about 80 ministers organized a press conference and told all of us that he was incompetent. He should be removed from office. The government did not remove him until the last hour that he was removed.
But let's come to the issue here. Does the minority have a point when the minority says you cannot take credit for what is happening because you've not really brought out any major policy to cause what is happening, that we should rather credit external factors and what they were building? And I'm asking whether or not you agree, and do they have a point?
The point is, when they left power, did we have good board?
We are PMMC.
Making in almost $10 billion. That's why we are seeing the stability for currency. Is it not an intervention? They had 125 ministers. We are operating with a lean government of 60 ministers. Difference of 65. Today, do you know the cost of one land cruiser? It tells you this government is disciplined. The finance minister has a handle on the economy. So the country or the economy was in a jail status. You couldn't manage this economy for 8 good years. And you're telling everybody today that is the IMF, the intervention you guys put in place, that's why you're seeing all the results. So are you telling me all the indicators that are pointing to the positive side, none of them work during your administration? Galamsey fight, you are saying it has gotten to the worst stage. Why are they not telling us that they did not manage it, so that's why we've gotten to where we are? So when it is negative, it's not the NPP. When it's positive, it's what they did. Go and read the 2017 budget that Ken Uforata presented. They told us they turned the corner. They've done magic within 1 year. But today they are saying within 1 year, NDC cannot change the fortunes of this country. You can't choose and pick, my brother. Okay. Just accept that governance is continuum. We are doing what is right, and the dividend is out there, and the juries are out there to judge. So you can't share the glory and then tell us that when it comes to negative, that one you are not part of it. This government is disciplined as compared to that of the NPP. That's the bottom line.
All right. But Dr. Mo, that's your response there, that discipline and even good for a good board and how much they're bringing into the economy is why this government is achieving the things they're achieving now.
In the first place, I'm sure a lot of Ghanaians who follow me know I'm the kind of person that I will not come and display my ego trips or unconscious incompetence or intellectual dishonesty just because of politics. Honestly speaking, I really don't have detailed information when it comes to this gold board operations and what it's doing for Ghana and co. But what I know is that we had already introduced gold for oil. You remember gold for oil policy. We're also having IPMC on all those operations.
Yeah, you had PMMC.
PMC, sorry. So it's not even an innovative idea from my brother from the other side that they should say. So they want to tell us that everything Ghanaians are enjoying today is just as a result of the gold board. I've never heard them say anything apart from gold board, and I'm surprised. Gold board operations cannot really provide us with a sustainable economic framework that we need to build an independent economy that will not depend on other foreign economies. We have a lot of challenges. Ghanaians started feeling the impact of what we left for them in somewhere around June coming up to this time.
Okay.
And let me tell you why it is. I beg you today. Ghanaians should listen to this. We have our market economy has systematic risk index far less than 1. What it means is that as a defensive market sector, it takes a long time for the economic figures to impact us practically. And that was why they even voted against us. If we are to be practicing aggressive sector like the developed economies, trust me, we're going to win 2024 elections. But when we have restored the economy, everything was going on well. It had not impacted Ghanaians. And this is what we are telling our brothers from the NDC side.
Okay,
I've been very honest and consistent that it will be difficult for me to chastise them when it comes to the economic management. And it will be difficult for me to say they have done well.
Okay, Doc, but let me ask this question. In 2017, when the economy was being praised, the NPP took credit for it. Why should the case be different for the NDC?
So take this thing that I'm telling you. When it comes to Ghanaians, then that is why they voted against us. Those who are feeling the impact today and possibly do not understand the mechanization of the management of our fiscal space and some of these policies and how they impact Ghanaians and the lag period, of course, they'll be happy. But they think they are enjoying it, whether NDC and NPP is NDC style. But practically, the NDC guys and people like us who are in that field, we know that it's not NDC's initiative or doing. No. How much have they even spent? NDC should tell us. Quantify their discretionary policy that they have even implemented and its results for them to say that yes, we have done ABC. They have not.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean that the NDC, they are not doing well. No. The time frame, it will not start this year, and by next year, we can appraise this government very well by December.
Okay.
They themselves know that in none of the policies they promised Ghanaians, they have been able to, at a large extent, remarkably implemented to impact what we are feeling today. That's what we are saying. At least they should give credit to the then government.
All right, I'm grateful to you, Dr. Stephen Amon, for joining. Reginald Champon, I mean, on the foreign affairs front anyway, isn't a minority right to say that the foreign affairs minister could adopt a more diplomatic approach to dealing with our partners from abroad?
Before I talk about the foreign affairs ministry, during their time, when they were just working to people, doing not tax exemptions without any productivity to the economy. It was part of their mess. NDC has a 4-year mandate to deliver. So this is what Ghanaians are expecting of us. So when it comes to expenditure, we are paying IPPs, we are paying contractors, we are doing a lot of expenditure, but you can't give what you don't have.
But you just started paying them.
From the MPP. You can't give what you don't have. So indiscipline calls the country, calls the economy. We are disciplined. Okay. We are prudent. They should give credit to the NDC that we are doing what is right before the good people of this country.
All right, I hear.
The foreign affairs issues, every country has its own policy. So sometimes, on the hand side, you may think that, okay, I should have done this way or the other way. But you can't force a country when it comes to their foreign policies or how they want to take decisions, especially when it comes to immigration. We know the position of Donald Trump. We can't run away from it. 75 countries. Ghana is not an exception. So don't say because of an Israel into that's why Trump is attacking Ghana or whatever. Right. Even with this, there's a caveat.
Okay. I'm grateful to you. Richard Achampon is ranking member on the budget committee. This is how we draw the curtain on Top Story today. Brought to you by Telecel, Holding Insecticide Spray and Coil, and also by Shield Pension Trust. Up next is Newsnight.